that, David, if you'd come forward and give us final words.
Good evening, everybody. So when Bob asked me to come this evening and close us out, a couple things came to mind. First were a couple of numbers, Reverend Jim. The business case, 109,000 new jobs projected over the next decade, 35,000 new households projected. It made me start wondering, how are we going to house the new people in addition to the people we have here now? So at first I started thinking about numbers in the finance game. But then I had to think about what's really more important. I thought about Mr. Whitaker, who I met at a grand opening of a THC in Somerset project. Mr. Whitaker told me he was a World War II veteran. Now when he came back from the Navy, he said, all I wanted was a place that I could afford to live in so my wife and I could raise our 3 daughters and send them to college, which is what he did. I thought about the Martinez family, a mother and 2 daughters, who formed a tenant association when other residents had been run out or bought out, but said they refused to leave. They refused to leave not for their benefit, but so that others coming after them would benefit. I started thinking about them, and I thought, that's what this is really all about. So as I thought about the last words for a night like this, as Councilmember Evans said, we've heard a lot of things already. But let me ask this question to you. If you walked out of this door and you saw Jim Knight or Bob Pullman treading water in the Anacostia River, treading water in the Potomac River, and you knew they were drowning, you'd help them, wouldn't you? You'd help them, wouldn't you? There are 50,000 households in the nation's capital, 50,000 households that are paying more than 50% of every dollar they make just to pay the rent or pay the mortgage. 50,000 households. Those people are treading water. Those people are trying not to drown. Now, if we were out there trying to save and pull people out of the Potomac River, out of the Anacostia River, Michael Kelly, people wouldn't say to us, well, we don't have time to help them out. Well, you know, the budgets are tight. I don't know if we can afford to pull Miss Jarvis out of the water. We have to recognize that the work that we do is about helping people pull themselves up out of the drowning economic waters that are caused by the high cost of housing in our city. So when people tell us that the deal doesn't pencil out, and I'm on the financing side, when people tell us the deal doesn't pencil out, when people tell us that the budgets are tight, when people say, well, our underwriting standards don't quite go that way, we have to remember that we are trying to pull folks up out of the water. And have to remember that the people we are trying to pull up out of the water are our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. I'll go so far and be so bold as to say there are people in this room, I got an amen, people in this room who are part of that 50% who are trying not to drown. So when we think about the work for the Housing Production Trust Fund, the $11 million, Director Kelly, you all just put out 363 units supported by the trust fund. That's 363 families that won't have to tread water anymore. But imagine if we had the level of funding that the coalition's been advocating for, and all of you in the room. Imagine the thousands of other families that could be helped to keep from treading water if we could get the trust fund built in. Let me be real clear. People will tell us, and I know it's true, it sounds right. I used to do appropriations work. We don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. But let's be clear, if Peter ain't drowning, he may have to give up a little bit so that we can make sure Paul doesn't go under in the water. My friends, for each and every one of you that has done whatever you've done, from elected officials, the coalition, advocates, developers, lawyers, financiers who have done your part to make sure that the trust fund has been strong and to get this city providing more affordable housing, we thank you. And tonight is a celebration, and we thank you, really from the bottom of our hearts. But when we leave here, let us not forget that our cause is the cause of people who are treading water, Reverend Jim, people who are trying to keep their head afloat. So do not grow weary in well-doing. Know that the cause that we fight for is not a financing cause. It's not a bricks and mortar cause. It is a human cause. It is the cause of our brothers, our sisters. It is the cause of us, so that we will not get dissuaded. And we encourage and invite all of the elected officials and everyone in this room to remember that when times get hard, that the fight for the Housing Production Trust Fund is not an academic exercise. It is not just a lobbying exercise. It is an exercise for the soul of our city to help out people who are just like you and I. God bless you.
Well, all I can say to that is amen. I want to thank you, David. Thank you, Mayor Gray, council members. Thank you, event sponsors, and all of you for coming. Continue to enjoy the food and drink. Pick up a copy of the Trust Fund report on your way out. Good evening. Thank you.